Today's example in The Art of War, I want to talk about Chapter 7, Armed Struggle, on how to turn problems into advantages. Now let's think about Chapter 7 says, to fight people face to face over advantages is the hardest thing in the world. Nothing is harder than armed struggle, right? And the hard part about armed struggle is making distances near and turning problems into advantages, right? So I'm going to give you an example from my life. Phone, cell phone, any phone really from the past, but cell phone now especially has become so complex, and it's giving me problems actually, because it's always going off and notifications and stuff like that, right? So what I've done is I've tried to learn to make the phone my friend. Now, The Art of War, Chapter 7, Armed Struggle says to fight people face to face over advantages, but it's not just always people. It can be inanimate objects as well. I've been fighting with my phone for a while, and recently I've tried to turn that problem into an advantage. I used the calendar the right way with notifications. I turned off notifications from social media and stuff like that because that stuff was going off all the time, email, but left on the notifications from my calendar. And I started putting in things so that the alarm goes off the right time, so that I remember at the right time. And that's been very useful actually. On top of that, I've learned, like with this YouTube and social media, Facebook and so forth, Twitter, is to do a lot of this stuff from my phone. And that's been very useful. And so I don't have the same attitude towards the phone anymore, and it's actually complementing my life as opposed to being a burden. So I turned the problem I had with the phone into an advantage. Now it's helping me, right? And that's it from The Armed Struggle, Chapter 7, in The Art of War. And the same principle can be applied to anything in your life. I took it from the book, which they're talking about fighting and war and all of that, to the cell phone, right? This also applies to relationships, to fight people face to face over advantage. The relationship, like Michael Korda said in his book Power, is the longest test of power. That is a type of struggle. And some people have it smoother, they got more of like a business arrangement. And some people, they learn the hard way, they fight it out and they fall off and they suffer because they didn't consider all these variables that are involved. So, but my main example today was the cell phone example. And I'll maybe provide some more in the future because I always talk about Chapter 7, Armed Struggle. So the hard part about armed struggle, whether you're dealing with a person or an inanimate object or the weather or whatever, is to turn problems into advantages and make distances near. As far as distances near with the cell phone thing, the problem of organizing my company and organizing my life was the resolution was distant, and I made it near by turning the problem into an advantage, making the phone an advantage instead of a disadvantage. So I made what was distant near, and I turned that problem into an advantage.